What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the TGD, the Good Dads Podcast.
Oh.
And last week, I said that I had one of the 6 favorite people on the show, my youngest son, Gerald. But today, I have the number 1 on that list. And that is my lovely and beautiful wife of 16 years-ish.
Yes.
Together for like 20.
This year is 16, right?
No, this year is 17. Yeah, this year is 17. We've been together for like 20 years. And what better way to kind of pull together all this fathering and whatever stuff that I'm talking about here on the show than to bring in the person that rides shotgun on all my parenting things, right?
Who does the mothering?
Exactly, it's my wife. So I wanted to bring you on today for a bunch of reasons. One, we actually have our own separate podcast away from the TGD, and it's called Yes We Fight. It's a podcast based on our marriage, sharing insight, tips, and things that we've learned along the way because our journey was not traditional at all.
No, definitely.
Like I love to hear people's stories. Like Ben's where, they dated for a year. She moved up to his college
stages,
and everything else. And I'm like, yeah, not us though. Not
No.
us. We met, we said, hey, how are you? My name's Gerald. You said,
I was like, hey, I'm Julia. I'm gonna have your baby soon.
yeah, and then 3 months later she did. So we literally at 20,
Or I got pregnant.
at 20 something years old, at 21 years old, I went from being a new dad of a 10-month-old to basically being in a committed relationship and the dad of 3. Mine, her son, and then she got pregnant. So we had one on the way. So that's 3 kids, all within like a 6-month span.
Well, it took me 9 months to make her, but
Obviously,
you
didn't wait. Time out. You did not make her.
We go through this. We've actually done this on the show. My body made her.
What did I tell you? We don't give the credit to the oven for baking the cake.
Without the oven,
And
the
since
cake
I was the
would
one
not
stirring the
be-
spoon,
Oh God, it's such.
I gotta get
terrible
credit
visual.
for this.
I mean, you get credit for your part, but the fact of the matter is that once you
Mix
put
the ingredients.
well, I know. I was thinking once you put the dough, batter in the oven. If that oven malfunctions or if something,
You
there's
have no
1,000. Yeah.
So what
My
you're saying,
oven was pristine.
So what you're saying is,
No, my body made her. That's
no.
what I'm
What
saying.
you're saying is basically you should get the blame for if a baby doesn't come out, but you get no credit for it working because it's supposed to work, or it wouldn't be an oven.
No, that goes down
It'd be
a
like
slippery
saying,
slope.
"Oh, I'm
but,
gonna sit it outside." Nothing happens outside. It's just similar if your oven
I
is
think
broken.
I just think that really I should just get the credit for whittling a baby
Why?
it.
Why should you get the credit?
because my body made her.
So
But it's not in lieu of your contributions, which were very appreciated.
fair enough. I'll take that. I'll take that. So we are actually relaunching this show, and
For the 10th time.
that's like a little snippet of kind of how the conversations go in that show. But we have launched that show, relaunched that show, and all in good faith, good intentions.
Right.
But I think we may have been a little bit overzealous as to what our priorities really are, which is these kids, and we literally don't let anything get into the way of what we have to do for them. So
Not even each other.
for real. So when we started this show, our daughter was a senior, and she had a whole lot of stuff coming up with flag football, getting recruited to go to college. And we just really couldn't find the time for that show because we do it live.
Right.
So that show happens on Saturday mornings,
And then Gerald.
and it's a live stream. But then, my son has basketball. He still does. But I think now that it's just us 2 and our youngest son, we have the time and space to literally be able to record these shows on a consistent basis. do some live shows when we can, and then record some like what you're listening to right now.
Yeah, basically.
So we're hoping that you guys can subscribe to that channel as well. I'll put all of that stuff in the descriptions, but I really just want to introduce the world, the Good Dad's world, to my wife, the backbone behind this whole operation, this Mickey Mouse operation that I have. And I really wanted to show the world like how this comes about for me. And none of this would be possible if it wasn't for you. So thank you so much for allowing me the space and opportunity to be able to really give this thing the effort that it requires for it to be successful. So I should give a round of applause to you like they do in high school.
What is it? Give 3 snaps in Z formation.
Hated it.
That's such a good show. That was such a good one.
It was. So I got something I want to tell you. So you know that.
Okay.
You know that it's football season, right?
I do.
College football started yesterday because we're recording this on a Sunday. College football started yesterday.
Okay.
And NFL football starts Thursday.
Right. So college. Right. Okay. So college on Saturday, and then NFL is on Sunday.
No, we're about to get into the thick of it. Okay. So we have football essentially every day starting Thursday.
You don't have anything Wednesdays, though, correct?
No Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
Okay.
All right. So you have Thursday night football. Friday is usually some night college football game. Saturday is all day college. Sunday is all day NFL. Monday night is NFL.
Okay.
So I was scrolling through Facebook and I've come across this post from, let me move this out of the camera, Leslie Thomas. Shout out Leslie Thomas. I'm using your
shout out Leslie.
I'm using your material for my show, so thank you for being so great at producing what you produced. So she wrote us tips, like it's like 12 tips for all you ladies out there. So dads, make sure you share this with your wives so that they understand the rules.
Because we're about to become football
widows.
Because
y'all about to be football widows. All right, you ready?
Ready.
All right, here's the game plan on fumble proofing our relationships and surviving the season. 1, know the schedule. Saturdays are for college football. Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays are sacred for NFL. Plan your date nights accordingly.
So don't have an expectation of that long conversation on Thursday night.
Absolutely not. Number 2, this is, I have to, like this, I have to put an emphasis, a star by this, because this will get you killed in here. 2, his team is your team, period. Your daddy's team or any other loyalties can wait. You fake it till you make it in February. So what's our team?
The Cowboys.
Absolutely. You don't mess that up. We're not nothing else.
Nothing. I've never been nothing else.
You know what I be thinking sometimes? You know what I be thinking? Like, what am I going to do if my daughters coming here because they marry somebody who are like Eagles fans,
diehard something else,
or Redskins fans,
and then like
Giants
they show up with their
like that's like for me the way that I take it, like that's you're not gonna be able to be here. You're not gonna be able to be here like that. Like for real, you can't come here.
Well, see,
you either stay neutral or you support what I support, or you go wherever your supporters are.
Well, I think that we should start a new tradition. I told you this last year. We should start a new tradition where every year we have a Super Bowl party, but it doesn't matter who is playing in the Super Bowl. Our Super Bowl party will always be a Cowboys Super Bowl party.
I'm with that. Number 3, snacks is his love language. Learn to love game day food. Wings, pizza, dips, chips, tacos, or something fried. Tacos for real. If you can't cook, buy it. PSA, this is not the time for your cute charcuterie boards. Charcuterie. Yeah, I don't want none of that. I want popcorn, wings, hot dogs, DDP. For sure.
Diet Dr. Pepper.
I like me a good Chicago dog if you got all the trimmings.
Oh yeah, those are good.
That's about it though. Other than that, and then also, I just really like for you to stay away while I'm watching it. All right, number 5, Jerseys, hoodies, jeans, sweats, and hats are your new game day attire. Don't worry, you can still keep it very cutesy, very mindful, very demure. I think
Demure.
that's like the
Demure.
new word that the kids are using.
I caught on to that late.
I won't
I
catch
didn't
on. I'm good.
really. I
I'm good on the
caught
catching
wind
on
of it,
with
I should say.
words, new words. I think I'm topped out on words that I'd like to use to express myself.
We're at max capacity.
Demure is not one of them. I'm not really too beholden on that. Like, you don't have to wear any jerseys, hoodies, jeans, and it's funny too because like I don't really care if you participate at all. Like, don't get in my way.
Like, just don't stop me from doing
Don't stop
what
me
I
from
do.
doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I come down on Sundays
Ready.
in a jersey
110 degrees with a scarf.
with my scarf
Cowboy
on,
scarf.
my hat, my socks, my lucky socks. They got a hole in the bottom actually.
Yeah.
My socks.
Oh, we gotta fix that.
Yeah, for real. I got my socks on. I got everything on, and then by the time like 5 minutes into the first game, the jersey's draped over the chair, and
But you have to get pics for the day, and between him and our oldest sending pictures
Oh,
to each
yeah.
other.
For sure. I
About
gotta take
the-
pictures of me and my oldest son because he in college his senior year. we communicate because we Cowboy fans. I raised him right, so he so he's a Cowboy fan the way he's supposed to be.
He took him away from the Patriots from my sister.
That doesn't count. He was like 5 years old.
He was actually.
No, he
was
wasn't
younger.
even 5. He was
3.
It was
He
like
was
3 years
3.
old. He was like 3 years old, and he's like he didn't even know he was a fan. He just wore the stuff because then he put it on him, and nobody was there to like teach him the way. Like nobody was there to help him out. You know what I mean? So luckily, I saved you to come into your son's life and teach him the way of the kings.
Wow.
I'm just saying. But you don't have to wear jerseys. Leave that up. Leave that for me and my sons. I'm still working on little Gerald. He's a little resistant.
I know because he's too much
just
like you.
I don't like football. I don't give a shit. Like, this conversation isn't about do you like football or not. It's like, put this damn jersey on because we're about to take a family picture.
No, 100%. I'd be willing to wear a jersey dress. I always wanted to wear a jersey dress because in like the 90s and the early 2000s, like jersey dresses were really in.
Yeah,
and I always
know.
felt like I don't know if I could pull a jersey dress off because they're so tight. And I was like, oh, I don't know, a little self-conscious. But I see couples and they got their little outfits. I'm like, I think I could rock the jersey dress a little bit.
You can't. I'm
Why
not
not?
even because my mama does that.
Well,
My mom and my pops wear the matching jerseys and jersey dresses. I'm not with that. I'm not that old yet. I feel like that's an old people thing. Like jerseys, matching jerseys and jersey dresses and linen suits, old people stuff.
well, I mean,
and we not old yet. Not yet.
right. We're still smooth.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Number 6. Learn the basics. This is good. Touchdown, 6 points. Offsides. Someone jumped the line too soon. Flag on the play. Yellow flag is thrown on the field. The game is stopped because somebody did something wrong. You can't say this lingo when you see it happen. I said, no, I'm sorry. You can say this lingo when you see it happen. He's going to be shooketh. I like that one. Now, I know that there are plenty of men out there who enjoy their woman being with them at all times, especially during the times that you're watching your favorite sports team. I'm not one of them. Note, I'm not one of them. But other people do. So if you are one of those, make sure that you tell your significant other the rules so that she can participate. It's like watching rom-com or some sort of period piece where you don't know what the hell is going on, but you're just there watching the support. But everybody has these weird accents and saying thou, and then there's black people in there that aren't like slaves at the time. Like, I don't understand that. Like,
Gerald has this weird thing.
if you're gonna
with
do a period piece
pieces
and you're gonna have
people.
black people in it, then they should take the role. If
Like,
not,
why is the black lead sleeping with the white girl?
for real and not being
That's
murdered?
That's like his thing.
Like, because the number one thing that everyone should be mad about is because he's black, not because he doesn't have a good job. That's not the case. Nobody's mad that he is a pauper, a goat herder, or something like that. No one is upset at that.
You're
Like,
huge,
we're upset
little-
because you're
little
black.
shoe.
So I don't know. I just don't like that. Like, you know what the one was though? It's not even like it's not just race. I just want to see it reenacted the way the history says. Like I remember watching this show set in the 40s.
Oh, I know.
Two men are sitting outside, right? Arguing
so
with one another. They're like going back and forth. And the wife comes out and she's like, shut all that noise up. Y'all stop all this arguing. And I'm thinking to myself like, well, ain't one of y'all supposed to tell her to shut up or backhand her or something? Because she's not supposed to be speaking like that. Not in the 50s. In the 50s, you're not supposed to be speaking to a man like that. This ain't 2024 where it's not right. Come here, baby. But in the 50s, it was perfectly acceptable.
So you're not saying that they should have. They're saying that it was more accurate to be like, women, I just want to see my movies accurately. That's all I'm saying. Don't get ahead of yourself now.
Exactly. All right, let's move on. Number 7. Cheer with this. Pay attention to this one because I know all his cheers. Do you? All right, hold on. Let me say it first. Cheer when he cheers. Even if you're confused about what just happened, anytime he looks confused and is mad, just say, come on, ref. And child, he'll think you're an ESPN analyst. That is true. Everything is the ref's fault. Everything. Everything is the ref's fault. You know, we should have beat the Packers because of the refs. That was a damn touchdown. Dez caught it. I know my buddy Benjamin, who was on the show before, he's going to have something to say about that because the refs said that he didn't. The refs.
No, I love listening to Gerald because he'll be in here all by himself and I can hear, let's go, let's go. Muffled clapping, balls out, or
hey, let's go.
You know, waiting.
All right, number 8. Don't touch the remote. Even during commercials, sis, I promise it's not even worth it. The remote is his, okay? I understand that. It's why I'm in here. The wife is in the man cave for this podcast, but everyone knows the man cave is not for anyone who is not a man. And by man, I mean pay the bills. So she can come in here anytime she wants to. There's limitations to what she can do in here and what she can touch. It's just the rules.
In but here, everybody it's 1940s.
Else, yeah, in no, here it's 1955. Hey, no. No.
Except for the,
Except for the backhanding part, right? The backhanding part. It's 1950 in here minus the putting women in their place part.
Gotcha.
They don't make those women anymore with the mothers that support it.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
For real.
It's okay. He's like that one meme. He's a good man.
Yep.
He's a good man.
It's all right, Daddy Dacha. He got a good job.
That's so sad.
Do you remember what's love got to do with it?
Yeah.
And she told Anna Mae to go back.
I do remember.
Crazy
that.
Work right there.
Work. I would have never told her to go back.
I wouldn't either.
I couldn't. But
that's because we live in 2024. We live in 2024. Okay, that's why we wouldn't do that. But back when Anna Mae Bullock was coming up, she didn't have too many opportunities to be rich and famous, so she had to take that cake beating because she didn't want to eat the cake. She should have ate the cake.
This guy.
All right, moving on. Number 9. For the love of Ray J, please don't ask unnecessary questions during the game. They get irritated real quick. Just wait or Google it. If you text him the question, be prepared to wait 2 to 3 business days for a response, depending on the outcome of the game. That segues right into number 10. If his team takes an L, leave him alone. Stay out of his face and keep them kids away too. Let him have his moment. He'll come around eventually. I'm like this. My son is worse, which is why
it's his fault.
I don't feel the need to chastise myself as much or feel like I need to make a big change in myself because my son's way worse. Like he checks out.
You set my son up.
My son will come to conclusions that we're going to lose in like 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. and he is already in his room sulking. Me, on the other hand, I just go back to normal.
And by normal, what he means is because I'm wherever I'm at. If I'm here, if I'm grocery shopping, because normally during the season I'm food prepping on Sundays, getting stuff ready for the week. I follow the score. I'm not watching the game, but I follow the score when I'm out and about. I check it about every 25 minutes,
That's
20
true.
plus minutes. And if they're winning, then every so often I might send a little, raw message. But I'm like, oh shit, the Cowboys lost. I'm like, I know what to expect. I'll let him have his space. I don't even attempt to
try to give it a booty.
A little sexy time. I'm like, I'll wait.
Give me them skins.
Yeah.
I don't want the skins. I just want the red skins beat.
Those are the only skins I want going down.
Yeah, so they're not the Redskins anymore. That's
offensive.
Oh
yeah, that's I
forgot. See, the more I keep talking, the more I keep wishing.
They're the Washington
Commanders.
See,
I was the more I keep talking, the more I miss 1950s because it was the Redskins back then.
But your opportunities would have been so limited. Your football would have been, I don't know, Sam and
yeah, because I would still be black in 1950s.
That's true. That's true.
So I'll just stay here. I'll just deal with the changing of football names.
Mm-hmm. Although I will say some of them little lumberjack boys, they're like with football. Some of those boys, those young boys, they're like sturdy. They're like what is it, Johnny Appleseed? Like
you call them lumberjack boys.
Well, that's
such a female term to describe a man that plays football.
Well, it's very specific. It's like
lumberjack
like
boys.
corn-fed country boys.
Well, they got beards.
They're like real
fat.
They're not fat. They're
Husky.
just husky's a great word. Husky's a great word. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
Gotcha.
They're like real sturdy boys.
They are. They really are big.
You know what I mean? They're like
solid,
corn-fed.
thick.
Yeah.
It's funny. The craziest thing is watching what they do with their bodies after they retire and how small they get. It's crazy. But let me move on. I digress. All right. Number 11. This is facts. Fantasy football is very real to him. If his team wins and his fantasy football team loses, he still might be mad. Woo, child. I know, but just let him grieve. Now, I don't disagree. I will say Cowboys winning is number one. Fantasy football is the consolation.
I was going to say that. I was going to go that route.
I will say at some point in time in my grieving process of my team losing, I will eventually say, at least I won in fantasy. However, I have come in last place in my fantasy football league for the last 3 effing years.
Despite being projected to win, weren't you? Yeah, it was like you're probably,
yes.
Yeah.
And don't stop the shit talking because I'm going to shit talk. But I hate losing. I keep donating $50 to all these people for nothing every single year. And I last year I was projected number 1, came in last. Year before that I was projected number 1 or 2, came in second to last. This is ridiculous and I absolutely hate it. So fantasy football is real. And my son is way worse than me.
They had $100 buy-in and there's 14 of them.
He's like the concentrated sports version of me. Because he takes that fantasy football stuff serious. I'm talking about.
He's like, I'm the GM.
The screens and the reports that he pulls up leading to his draft.
Because he's a numbers guy.
Yeah, finance dude. I'm similar to that. But I just kind of I did my draft on my phone yesterday while I was taking little Gerald to ride go-karts, which I wrote about his experience, a part of his experience in my newsletter. Make sure that you are subscribed to that newsletter. I'll put that link in the description. But super dope. But I'm a fantasy football guy.
Oh.
Straight up. I love fantasy football. I don't even know why. It's like I laugh at all the memes, right? It's like I'm a 40-year-old man who bets money on somebody else playing a sport that I can't play anymore.
I love all the sideline.
His stats.
Yeah, like the sideline.
So I think I'm a full-fledged GM and I'm going to beat somebody else's team and I have no sway on the outcome, but I effing love it. So moving on. Number 12, season hack. Game time equals me time. This is for you ladies. Plan your girl time, target runs, mani-pedis around kickoff. Just don't expect him to join. What you think about that one? I know you do this. You do all the grocery shopping and all the stuff that you tend to on a weekly basis. You schedule that around the football schedule. I'm not gonna lie, the football schedule is pretty expansive, so you can get lost in all of that. Mm-hmm. And I know for me, like it's unrealistic to say I'm going to watch every single football game that comes on from Thursday to Tuesday. It's just not going to happen.
But there are some overachievers out
I'm
there
pretty
that
sure.
really try.
I'm pretty sure. I'd like to talk to their wife to see what they have to say about them.
Oh, I talk to the wives.
Oh yeah, what they say?
You know what? It really is kind of like divided in the sense of, or 50-50, I'd say. You talk to some women who it is just that, where it's like they do whatever they do. They're out with kids, or they're, shopping, doing that type of thing. Or you have the ones where they just absolutely hate it. Just absolutely hate it. I never hated sports when it comes to you. You are honestly my first experience with like being with someone who's really into sports. And, my father didn't do sports growing up. My father didn't watch sports. So I never had sports in the house. I didn't play sports. I didn't play sports until I was in high school.
And you ran.
And I ran.
Which isn't a sport.
It's still athletics.
But get what I'm not saying it's not athletics.
It's still athletics.
I'm not saying
I ran track and cross country.
I'm not saying it's not athletics. I'm just saying
I had a team. I was part of a team.
A sport. Yeah, but that it's not really a team. You have to just run.
Well,
you're not,
fantasy
nobody
football
else
isn't a real team, but we still
look. We're not taking
shots.
Force. I'm not taking shots at you. I'm just
really shoddy.
Just
I'm feeling real shoddy right now.
Fine, I'll bow out.
But
you win.
No, but I never hated it, only because like I had the kids. So it's like I was always running around with the kids and taking care of the house and doing all that type of stuff. But now that they've gotten a little older, I have come to enjoy being a little more aware of the games that are happening. Like I can watch them, and maybe I don't fully understand the mechanics of stuff, but I know a good catch when I see it. And I'm like, oh, that's good. Or even if I'm not fully there, I think it's good. And then I'll say something. That's a good job.
They did a real good thing there.
Right? And then you'll just look at me, but you won't say anything because like I'm not doing anything. They got
the ball. Get the ball and run it and turn around.
Yeah, that's really.
Did you see him do the?
So now I'm looking forward to the last part really coming around full circle. I'm just waiting for our funds to be allocated.
For sports?
For me to have all my mani-pedi and target runs. Because right now, the way my checkings and savings account is set up it's a grocery store run. That's my shopping.
Grocery stores and taking
body
orders
wash
from kids that don't live here.
Right. Making sure everybody has what they need.
I think Layla has spent more money since she has been to school from me than when I was there.
I know, and
Dad, can you send me a refrigerator? Dad, can you give me these headphones? Dad, I need something for my thumbs. Can you buy me these thumb braces? And I'm just like, yeah, click.
Yeah.
Once I put her address into my Amazon thing, it's just like click.
We need to give it to the parents.
And oh my goodness, she knows to tell me because I'll just do the stuff. No one asks you for things just because you always have to say, I asked Dad.
Well, they ask me for specific things. If they call me because they go to us for specific things. If they need sports gear or things like that, they go to you. But if they need body wash, if they're needing all of the normal care.
That's because you go to the grocery store while I'm watching football. So
right,
they gotta
I'm
go
that
to you.
person, to put it on the calendar. Amaya, like our older ones are still learning that they have to tell me stuff so that I can make it happen.
Well, everybody is learning that. Maybe my mom.
I know they now
She's like,
include me.
well, we're going to come do this. I was like, all right. She's like, I'll just tell Julia because you don't remember shit. I'm like, I do remember it. No, I don't remember it.
Right.
I remember the day about to happen, though.
Oh, my parents are.
I think my parents coming in town today.
I'm like, are they really? I'm like, oh.
Yeah, she told me like 3 months ago. I forgot to put it on the calendar. Now I just tell everybody, call Julia and let her know.
Right. And now they were going to be coming into town, and I'd seen it on the calendar, and I was like, oh, hey, your
Oh,
parents
they're
are going to
not
be
coming
here.
no more.
And he's like, oh, they're not going to be here anymore. I'm like, but see, this is why we at least put it on there so we can discuss it, because I give notifications a week out. So I get that first reminder like, hey, this thing is happening.
Speaking of, well, I guess we could talk about that off camera. That's on the. It's in the. Never mind. Let's move on. About to sit up, forget the record, re-record and stuff. It's like, oh no, we actually still are married, and we still be processing the things that we gotta do, even if we're doing this. It just is what it is.
Yeah, this is random.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
normal.
what do you think about those rules for football season? Because it is football season.
I think that they're really good, and I think it's important to kind of have that discussion, even though it doesn't seem like a big deal. It is a really big deal. Sports is huge. Right. Sports is huge for some families. You know what I mean? So, like, if you're married to someone who is a huge sports buff, I think it's really important to kind of have those type of conversations, especially if you have a family. I can't when I think back to when the kids were little and I was running around with them. I don't know if I felt overwhelmed or if it was just like a part of what it was. I can't sometimes remember how I felt. I know there were some times where I was like, I'm really, this is like, it was a lot having all the kids in certain scenarios. Mm-hmm. But I think it's important to have even that conversation because you have men and women alike. Right. My sister's a huge football fan. She's been a fan. Like, she's been a fan since before being a girl into football was like a trend. Like, now sometimes it's like, oh, I know football too. She doesn't have to prove shit. Like, she is a football fan. So
she's still a girl football fan.
Well, I mean, she's still a girl, but you know what I mean? The point is, it's really big. Like, this is a season, like, you've been counting down for like months. Football all summer long. All I hear, there's no sports.
It is not. I hate the summer. I've watched cornhole.
I was going to say all the random sports.
It's crazy. Darts. I watched dodgeball. It's so
old reruns. You can go to the channels and there's old games on.
Watch old games
from
last season.
But I think you should have the conversation. I think 100%. That's important, and say, hey, maybe Thursday or maybe Monday night we can cut a little short because the kids have such and such, or maybe whatever it is. I think it's important to have that conversation.
Right, and also now that technology is what it is, fellas, like mobile. There's been plenty of times I've been sitting at a function that I didn't really want to be at, but I had to show my face and had the game on my phone, watching it. It wasn't about me. Obviously, I'm not saying watch the game
in
lieu of watching your kids play what they're supposed to do. Find some sort of healthy balance. Like I was saying before, it is probably not realistic to commit to watching every football game. If you have a large family that you have to take care of and they need you to be a part of it, it's probably not a good thing to watch football Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. For me, she knows that Cowboys I'm watching.
Oh yeah, I know the Cowboys.
I don't care what day they come on. I don't care if they played in Germany at 3 a.m. I'm gonna be up watching that junk.
That's true.
Everything else, to be honest, is up for discussion. You know what I mean? And if I'm going to be here at my house, I'm gonna watch the games. But that doesn't mean that we can't go do something else. Like, I remember one season, we would go to like Dave and Buster's on Saturdays. I was
gonna say, yeah.
So that I could watch the games, but also we could kind of combine those things together. And I could watch the games. The kids can go
have their little
do whatever they're doing. You know what I mean? And now that the kids are even bigger, like we could go to the mall. Like where our Dave and Buster's is, there's like a little mall there, so they will go out and kind of hang out. So it became like a thing. Find what works for you and your family, because if sports matters to you, if anything matters to you, I don't care if you play Dungeons and Dragons or cosplay or you like to do medieval warrior stuff, it doesn't really matter. If there is something that you enjoy that is simply your hobby, and I believe that every single man, woman, and child should have their own hobbies for themselves, understand that it is a hobby and really find where it ranks in the pecking order of importance. It can't be number one, especially if you have a wife and kids.
Right.
So find out that healthy balance, talk to your significant other. She realized early on that Like, this is important to me. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that I like. I don't really care what anyone thinks about it. Like, this is my
Yeah.
thing. That's just what it is. How do we incorporate that into the confines of our relationship? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. I do. And I think the way that you and I were, when we were younger in general, I mean, we're still really similar, the dynamics, but I definitely could tell like sports was a big deal. And one of our very first discussions on sports, so we got married on a Friday night with our three older ones. It was just he and I. And the day after, we were going out somewhere. We were going to have dinner or doing something. And he was playing football on the game. And the sounds, I remember thinking, wow, the sounds sound like really like real. And as we were walking out to go to dinner, I was like, wow, it's almost like you're really, really, really playing the game, like you're playing the game. And I meant like actually physically playing football. And he was like, it is real.
I am real.
And I was like, no, I mean, it's like,
nope, I really am
real.
playing this.
And he legit had a like full-fledged argument, wouldn't even back down. I'm like, you know what I'm talking about.
I'm
and
really
he would
playing
not.
this.
I was like, it is too early in the evening.
So that's what's missing from the list.
It's too early in the evening.
That's
for
what's
this.
missing from the list. It's football games too. Now, being a little facetious, I'm not as beholding on these football games as some people are. My son. But if I'm playing, I'm playing it. It's real. I'm really about to take these.
I get it. If
these
this hair is
cats
in
to
my
the
head, it's my hair
championship.
too.
Yeah, like
I
a
mean,
weave.
I
Like,
get it.
you can't get mad at me because, like, I'm not gonna disrespect you if you put a full-fledged weave in your hair and talking about this is my hair. It's yours. You bought it, and this
I
is
don't
my
disagree with
football
that.
game.
Well,
I bought it.
I definitely understand. 22 young Gerald
Yeah,
was just
a little bit
a
different.
little
Rough around the edges.
more spicy. A little more spicy, we'll say. Oh my gosh. But no, I agree. I think that, and I still think that coming back to those conversations, I think what I like to encourage people to do is really find ways to have the dialogue and to really speak your mind. It's difficult in relationships to kind of speak how you really feel, because I think most of the time at the end of the day, you really care about that other person.
Right.
So it's difficult. Sometimes it's still really difficult for me. How do I navigate between asking and talking about what I really want without, one, the fear of causing an argument, because no one likes to argue.
Right.
And how do I say this without potentially hurting my partner or saying something that actually alters the way that they now think about something?
Right.
There's been things that I've said to Gerald, and I have no doubt, I say this 100% with confidence. I have no doubt that there's things that I've said to him that really changed something between us. Whether he now had a newfound belief of me or something, or now he altered the way he expressed or showed something. There's been things you say stuff to your partner, not knowing how it affects them.
Yeah, I think you hit is it the nail on the head? Yeah.
Yes.
I think you hit the nail on the head, because I think that dynamic is playing out in those conversations on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because let's just say I enjoy football like I do, and you come in regardless of whatever it is,
Right.
but I perceive it as you don't like it, then it does alter how I view this activity. And here's how it alters it in a couple of ways. I can feel like I may feel like now I have to hide it, because
Right.
here's the part that we don't take into consideration. I care about you, so what you say and your opinions of everything that I do like and everything, it factors into my thought process. However, you like what you like and you enjoy what you enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
If you suppress that enjoyment, then you end up with resentment,
Right.
right? But if you don't suppress what you enjoy, then you end up sneaking it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Recording, doing all these other things. So I wonder if I lost my train of thought just a little bit, because I was
because
looking
as
at
you're
myself.
talking and then you start.
No, I was looking at myself on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably about to drop a nugget too. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead. It just is. You know how I be sometimes. You like, I just be on a roll sometimes, and then it just falls out of my head sometimes.
Look, Jack,
thought
like
died. Somebody
Jack and
jacked my
Rose,
thought.
just Jack just
Somebody jacked my
disappearing into
thought. Yep. Jacked
the
my thought
ocean.
right out of my head while I was talking to myself. I got distracted trying to make sure that the screen right there was on point. But I digress. I was saying that how you view me changes how I respond back to you because I do care about you. And I think sometimes that those translations, they get lost in the interactions with one another because you're doing this balance between defending your perception of what you believe that they think about you while also trying to protect the thing that you actually care about or the thing that you want to do or say or believe or think or anything like that. And that is the hardest part of being in any relationship that you care about is how do you organize the things, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you're all like, let's say you hated that I watch football, right?
Right.
You don't actually hate football. You hate that I am devoting all this time and energy and effort to something that isn't what you believe someone should be devoting their time, energy, and
Right.
effort
Right.
into at that moment.
Right. If I come in and say you're being so childish because watching this game, like you don't have responsibilities.
Right.
So now, like you're saying, the defensiveness comes in, or the like, but I really,
Right.
the snowball.
Because that puts me in a position to say, A, it's just football to me. And I worked, I did everything else that I was supposed to. This is what I would consider a reward for me, and I want to protect that. But also, like, I don't want you mad. Like you're the person that I love, I care about, and I don't want you to be mad. And then the other part is, if I have to give this up to make you happy, then how does that change our relationship moving forward? How does that alter the things that I'm willing to do for you or that I have or that I begin to expect for you to have to do for me now that I've done this for you? Those are the interesting parts of conversations and relationships that I feel like are the most trickiest to navigate. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it's so much information that's being interpreted and not said. And a lot of times we don't even have the words to express those things because you don't know them until they happen down the road, right? Like I
Right.
don't know that you putting pressure on me about this thing is going to alter how I view when you ask about the next thing. So I
Right.
just think that it's extremely important in all relationships, especially committed relationships, that you iron out all your discrepancies from a very safe space. There has to be a handful of rules in your relationship that you and your significant other can 100% believe. And these are the rules just off the top of my head. One, you have to believe that the person that you're talking to, that you say that you love, loves you back. And give them the grace that if they say something that isn't savory or something that catches you off guard or something that you have interpreted as being negative or critical or something like that, that you give them the grace to clarify that when they recognize that that's how you take it. And that's something that you and I have to work on too, right? There's like the show the title of our podcast is called Yes We Fight because there are some areas where we fight in. And usually some of those things show up on a very consistent basis. And they're mostly due to interpretation because in order to have conversation with other people, there is a level of interpreting that you have to do. The longer you're with someone, the easier it is to interpret.
Well, I
Right?
think that, well, I agree with you.
Go ahead.
But when it comes to interpreting things, I don't think interpreting things is, I think interpreting things is a part of life, whether you're in a
Right.
relationship, with a person. One thing that you and I have to do that maybe not every other couple has to do is damage control. We're in a place in our relationship where we've been together for such a long time that there's been damage that's been done.
Right.
So the issue within arguments isn't always just, even though I don't disagree with you, it is interpreting things, but it's also protection. When you live in a space where you are in arguments and the main goal of that is to protect yourself based on past experiences within that relationship, it's really hard to be fully present
Right.
because you're not necessarily present. You're there, but you're reacting, and most of this stuff is done without us thinking about it, which makes it difficult. So that you have to kind of like bring yourself back down. So I think that's one thing to take into consideration. Gerald and I've been together for a really long time. There's been very many highs, there's been many lows. And because of some of those lows, now we have to go back in and maybe not just necessarily unpack everything, but kind of it does require a little bit of digging into some of those spaces that we do have to discuss. Things that maybe have really affected the way that we communicate, or, you know, because we have a deep desire to actually be not just married, but healthy and happy, most importantly, we choose to kind of have some of those tougher conversations whenever we can, because we can't always have every single conversation. We cannot. It's just a part of being together. You know, pain is pain, and it doesn't matter how long. Sometimes it's just there, or fear or protective modes. So, you know, we have to go back and kind of do a little damage control on some of those things, and we have those conversations, say this is what this did or this is that, and then it's like, okay, there's a little more understanding. And then there's also a little bit of something, maybe the tightness that's just been released a little bit, where there's a little more ease maybe. In comparison, my best friend, she's in a newer relationship. They've been together for a little bit, but still newer in general. Like we've been together for such a long time. You know, they don't have really as much damage control. They have previous relationship stuff where they've had to talk, but they came in already mid 40s, and they came in with the understanding of things that they'd done previously. And so they come in and jump right off the bat. Like I love having conversations with her because she's so similar to me that she can kind of provide perspective from me, where it's like, hey friend, like that's not cool, or you know, we can have those conversations. But her and her partner, like they came in and right off the bat had conversation cards and like really kind of started straight away into some of those conversations, so that they didn't have to do that as much, I'd say. But you and
I think that's what I was saying too. All of that is interpretation, right? Like the damage control part is a part of the interpretation, right? Is that you can say something to me that may trigger something that I
okay,
believe
fair,
that
sorry.
I believed about you from the past, right? And I'm bringing that forward, and I'm coming to some sort of understanding with that piece in mind that you don't have, right? Like you didn't approach me with that. You're talking to me just about this particular thing, but I'm looping this into the thousands of
Other
similar
scenarios,
things in
gotcha.
my mind that I believe are similar. You know what I mean? Like I think that's great. I love that when, because I think that's a side note, because I was having this thought the other day, right? Like the difference between like relationships that started like ours at 20, 21, right? Where we don't know anything. We don't know anything. We haven't been through anything really. Something small, like I'm not saying that we don't have our own issues coming into our relationship,
Mm-hmm.
but we aren't really like, what's the word I'm looking for? We're new. We don't
Yeah,
know anything about
that's
relationships,
right.
long term committed relationships, things like that. The contrast to that is you have two people who are, and they did their growing separately,
Right.
and now they're coming together
Together.
with the fixed pieces, piecing it together in a very specific way. And I'm sure
Yes.
that that works, right? But most, not most, but our scenario isn't the same, right? Like our scenario, we didn't come in fixed. We have been working on ourselves in front of each other. And even that in itself kind of creates a totally different, like, climate for relationships to happen, because two people that are together are going to hurt each other
Mm-hmm.
to some degree, whether that disappoint
Whatever,
somebody,
things like
not
that.
show up in the way that
Mm-hmm.
you think that the other
Right.
person is going to show up,
Mm-hmm.
say some things that are unsavory, allow your tongue to get away from you when you get into arguments. All of these things are parts of relationships, and the way your friend is doing it, it's the only way you can do it at that age, right? Is to come in fixed, because at 40 years old, you're too smart to actually have to start at the stupid 20-year-old version of relationship, right? So I think that all of that factors into conversation, but to kind of pull this back full circle, like you had said before, it all goes back to having those conversations. Like, you have to be aware, and I have to be aware of where we are, and that's our responsibility, so that we can then express that in the current moments. Your friend is doing an excellent job because they understand where they are, and they can come to the scenario, they can come to the table with an understanding of who they are and where to take the next step forward. We, at 21 years old, did not know who we were. We did not know where we were. We didn't know the type of people that we were. We had two or three things that we can latch on to. And the reason why our relationship worked is because one of the things that we latched on to was each other, and the other one was those kids.
Yes.
And that got us through a lot of the stupid shit that I did in our relationship, and you had to navigate and get over, and so on and so forth. Like, those were the things that tied us together, so that it gave us the opportunity to continue to work on. If I go back and I think about it, of course I wish I was confident in myself. I didn't feel like I needed to, find, what's the word?
Other validation.
Validation in the world because of the suppressed things that from my past and childhood that you don't know anything about. So like, that's a hard thing to do at 21, 22, right? And why it's easier at 45. You know what I mean?
Right. Or at least you hope that it is, because
it is.
That's coming from a place of, using my friend as an example. You and I can both look at that situation and recognize that it's two people realizing that they are trying to be more aware of their self. You know what I mean? And you can still be 40 and not trying to, or just not know, I should say. You know what I mean? And I think I like that you said that, and I'll tell you what I like. I like that you brought up the fact that, we've had many differences in our relationship, but I like that you brought up the fact that the part of the things that we really, really latched on, we had a common goal. Because it's easy to get wrapped up in your family, but we had a common goal when it came to us and our children. The kids have always been a priority for us, and so we both had that common goal. It wasn't like using the kids in lieu of what we didn't have. We just both understood that we really wanted the best for our children. So we always worked hard to do that and show up in those places. And there's been unfortunately, 1,000 scenarios that we showed up for our kids, like not in a good place with each other, but we showed up there. And that's difficult, but we had the goal. It was like, this is what we're doing. And then even through some of the harder things, and I can understand that, we go through difficult times. And what Gerald and I did, which is interesting, I think about, is we did latch onto each other. When we've had some really dark times, we really pushed the world away. And I think that was good and bad. I think that there was some, I can look at it and say there was probably parts of that were based on insecurity and some fear and some attachment issues. But I can be grateful right now in this present time and say, I'm grateful that through that, we're able to rebuild. We were still able to rebuild, even if there was insecurity there. We still pushed everything aside. We still did have some tough conversations, and we still were able to keep enough together so that we can get here today and say, you know what? If we're having a tough time, I still do, I don't communicate with the world, but at least I have more self-awareness to where there isn't as much fear. Or I'm not so anxious, or I'm not so, those feelings where I can say, you know what, now I'm pushing everybody away because I know that I need to communicate with you. I want to be close to you. I want you to know that even though we've had an argument, I care about you tremendously, and you can expect me to do the same things. I'm still going to be here.
Right. Because essentially we do the same thing, right? We act the exact same way at 40. We just also have 20 years of memories that are a part of this conversation, right? Like, we still come to the table with ways to have actual communication and pull out actual things about it,
Ugh.
about one another and stuff.
Ugh.
It's just that we have 20 years of memories that to go along with all of this, right? And that's a lot to wade through. It's a lot. It's
Right, it
like they
is.
say, it's like a lot.
I hope
It's
you
a
got your
lot
boots
harder
on.
for real, right? It's a lot harder to keep a 5,000 square foot house clean than a 700 square foot apartment, right? It's just how it is. So it's like we are all doing the same things, right? Like we go into a person with 1,000 square feet and we're like, oh wow, you keep this house really, really clean. It's like, yeah. And then these are the people that create the rules and the tips and tools on how you're supposed to navigate relationships. And it's like, no, long-term relationships are mansions with two people to clean them. And that's hard. That's a lot harder to navigate because there's a lot of things that need to be reorganized. There's a lot of things that need to be rediscovered, right?
Dusted off and
Like
brought to the surface.
one of the things for me, especially during our like really dark times, and I was like, I don't think I even want to continue doing this stuff. Like I had to be reminded of just how much I really love you, like how much I really care about not the love and care, how much I enjoyed being around you, and how if I wasn't around you, I'd be a little bit upset, or it wouldn't feel the same, and that had to play a role into how I communicated. Because you know me, like I'll shut it down and won't have nothing to say for days and days and days.
Oh,
Now I'm just not gonna do that. Now I'm like, hey,
the worst.
I ain't gonna get mad like that. So it is what it is.
Drive to your mama's house at 1 a.m.
Yep. Put it on. So now I'm not. Now I'm just like, no, that's not the case because that's not really what I want. And I think that's like everyone's going to have to find their own stop block and then address that. You know what I mean? For me, the goal was you don't have to protect yourself and you don't have to run. You don't have to protect yourself and you don't have to run. A part of you, and you know, if I get mad, I'm getting in my car. I'm gonna go. I don't know where I'm gonna go. I found myself halfway to Utah one time. I found myself at my mom's house. I found myself at my sister's just driving. I don't like go over there and say anything. They just know. I'm just over here. What's up?
Hey guys.
Where Julia? At the house. Oh, okay. Leave me alone. I ain't come here to talk to y'all. Just come here to
Be around.
Yeah. But I realized that the goal for me was for that not to be a part of how we communicated, because it was just so frequent. Like every conversation would end up with me being mad because I felt like you didn't care about what I had to say as much as I felt like it needed to be cared about. So I can't blow this motherfucker up. So I get in my car and leave. Right? I'm coming back. The hard part is that like we do these things not knowing that it creates something in the other person.
Yes.
Right? Like that action that you believe is protecting
Right.
yourself, right, is doing something to the other person. And 20 years of that is hard to manage.
No, it is. And it's interesting because you don't have control over those lingering effects, because Gerald's 100% correct. On one end, he is protecting himself and maybe feeling like that's the best thing for him because maybe he's really, really angry, he's upset, he doesn't want it to go any further, whatever. And unfortunately, he happens to be also with a very attached partner who, like, I had, like, not abandonment issues, but it kind of like some of the things within our relationship did put that fear of like the abandonment, like the leaving thing. So even though maybe it was best for the moment, so he wouldn't like blow a gasket or something, it did when you're gone for like a day or so, even, you know, I know he's safe, but it did tie into those emotional things that I was dealing with as far as like feeling like I wasn't good enough or things like that. But even then, I didn't even realize that, but it did create that. So later on, when you have another argument and it's like, you know, your partner's telling you don't want to be here, and on the inside, it's like, I'm here all the time. All the time. You're the one that's leaving, even though I never said that. But on the inside, I'm like, you're judging me, but I'm here with the kids. And it's like you build all that stuff, but you don't even know it. And now I know that all of those things really, really played into how I had already previously felt about myself from my own issues. And then in this, now they're confirmed. All these false narratives are now confirmed. And so now I'm altered in how I feel the views about me. And now it's like,
Right.
oh God, at any point in time, this man's going to leave me. And it's like, I don't want you to leave because, you know what I mean? But
Right.
then it's like you have to go through, I had to weed. I think the one thing that I want to make sure people understand is we have to weed through our own muddy waters. You know what I mean? Gerald and I navigate our mutual pond, but there's still a space within that to get to each other, we still have to wade individually before we make it in the center, so to speak, to give you a visual. There is still so much work that you have to do as an individual, even within the relationship, which for me sometimes is why relationships are difficult, because you're falling apart in front of another person, you're rebuilding in front of another person,
Right.
and we're not always equipped.
That's a bar right there.
Yeah.
You're falling apart in front of another person and rebuilding in front of another person.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And you're not
It really
always
is.
you're not always equipped to be a spectator for your partner's process, especially in the processes, the moments that you contributed to either or. It is difficult to be a part of another person's unraveling, especially the person you care about.
Right.
You know, to be a part of that is like,
Yo, that you just said a whole bar though, for real, because that is what separates, in my opinion, these long-term relationships. When you hear about Nana and Papa going through being together for 60 years,
right.
It's like you realize that the beauty of that relationship is that the two people who met each other 60 years ago are not the two people that you see in front of you, and they watched each other do that. That is bananas to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, that is bananas to think that, because you hit the nail on the head again, right? Like, me watching your process from the Julia I met in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, you old lady. So, the Julia I met in 2004 is nothing close to the Julia that is on this podcast right now. Nothing close. And I've watched every single minute, for the most part, of this change. And it has not been pretty, but it has also been beautiful. You know what I mean? Because I remember when we were young, and I used to say all the time, just be yourself and I'll adjust. And none of that ever made sense, but I'm starting to see it though. Like, now, like, there's a fieriness to you that has been suppressed by some of your past dealings.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a fiery, don't take no shit aspect of you that I find kind of rejuvenating.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you're the person that you, well, I just find it rejuvenating. Mm-hmm. Because I value what you have.
Growth.
Yeah.
You see growth.
I see growth towards the thing that I've always heard you talk about, right? Like this, the conversations that you say, like when someone calls you not strong, there's always been this, like, I am strong though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I am that. You just couldn't do it in some situations, but there's always just like, I am. It's just the same way, like I used to say all the time, like, I do have feelings though. Like, I am really in tune with that type of stuff.
Right.
It's just not my role right now in our relationship for me to do that. I haven't been given the space. I haven't been given the privilege to do so. And maybe that's not because you are telling me not to, but my own insecurities of not taking that step forward. I understand that about myself, and to see that in you is something remarkable to me. You know what I mean? I find you to be one of the greatest teachers in the world. I find you to be beautiful and intelligent. I find you to be strong, uplifting, and have a lot of different faces that a lot of people enjoy. And I am happy to share the world with you because people gravitate to you naturally. They automatically believe that you are a leader of some sort. And I like going into spaces being Julia's husband. Nobody knows who I am. I don't do nothing.
I was like, they're far and few in between, but
You got it. You got it.
know.
And it's okay. It's okay to gloat that. So I don't want to take up too much of this time. My podcast is already at the hour and 5 mark or something like that. So I want to end it there. But I did want to introduce to my little group of dads this new version of our show that's going to be coming out here in the next couple weeks. Look for the information on that as we discuss one of the most important aspects of being a father, right? Which is the relationship that you have with those kids' mother, whether you're
Right.
married in a committed relationship or you've had to, do the stepdad thing or the co-parenting thing. And I've done them both. I've done them all. My oldest son, as we discussed before, my oldest son is not mine biologically. I took him on when he was about 2 years old, and he's 23 now.
He's gonna be about to be
He'll
23.
Yeah, he'll be 23 soon. So I've done that. I have my daughter's mother, who, I love her for being my daughter's mother, and her husband. I can't say enough kind words about them. So we have a lot of experience in this parenting thing and this marriage thing. We're not experts. We're just here to share our insights and thoughts, because if I'm being honest, I don't really believe in advice like that. I can only provide perspective and ways and alternate ways to think about some of these things that comes up in our marriages and in our parenting. But you have to find your own way. You have to do your own work, and I will never take that from you. So do your work, because your kids deserve it, and so does your spouse.
And you.
And you, absolutely. So you guys take care. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Good Dads Podcast, aka the TGD. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye.